This video will give you a brief description of how we scalp. In cases where we are scalping, we are not interested in the trend. We are going to trade in both directions, so that even the little moves that take place against the trend can still be made profitable. And we're going to identify how we do that. Now, when it comes to identifying what we mean by a scalp, we're looking at a point. At least one point cleared, 5 ticks, at best 8 ticks, generally not more than that. Sometimes, however, our indicators provide for a whole lot more. But let's take an example of what we've got on the chart and give you a little bit of background on the makeup of these indicators. You'll see that we have plotted a 5-second chart here. Point number one, this has got to be fast in order for it to work. The indicators that are shown below are all the same indicators, but they are plotting the data from different time frames and on different market symbols. The first two graphs, first two indicators, are both on the ES but set to different time frames. The next one, the third one down, is on the INDU. After that, we have the INX, and then finally the YM. So we have indicators that are plotting the results from all of these different market symbols and using a variety of different time frames, if you will. We actually don't even use typical 1-minute bars or tick bars for this purpose. We use a different approach. And then finally, the graph at the bottom is the same indicator plotting on the 5-second chart itself. So basically, when you get to an overbought or an oversold condition, we're looking to take a scalp. Now, first of all, we want to make known that we do not need to get all of these indicators lining up, although sometimes they do. We want either an overbought or an oversold condition, or a divergence. Divergence can be very, very powerful. So let's take a look at a few examples of this. First of all, the indicator that we see showing here, when the color of this indicator turns red or blue, in most every instance, that's a situation where you can expect some kind of reversal, an opportunity for a scalp. Occasionally, when in a divergent situation, it won't get down that far. The color will be closer to white. And when that happens, of course, then if we have a divergence in particular, we're going to look for taking a trade. So let's look at the first few instances of this. And we're going to give this, we're going to point our arrow right here. This is the first instance where we have an oversold condition in this subgraph as well as in this subgraph. This one is briefly turned red, whereas the other one is blue. Those are key colors on this indicator. So when that happens, and we begin to see a turn in the indicator right in here, and you can see that you can verify that down here in our subgraph at the very bottom. This is your 5-second chart. When that's turning, that's when you're going to want to take that trade. So what's that worth? Well, you're getting in at about 18. It's riding it up to 1875. Doesn't quite make it. Pardon me. No, we should be able to get. Yeah, that's 1750. Pardon me. So we should be able to get in there at about 1775 and ride it up for a full 4 ticks up to 1875. So that's a good example. Let's look at the next situation. We move down to this point and we can easily see a divergence. We have a lower low here, but a higher low here. And we're oversold on the second indicator, as well as the third, as well as the fourth. Very strong indication of a reversal. Here we're down at 16.25. It rides it all the way up to 18 again. So you're going to make something off of that trade quite nicely. Now let's look at our next example. We come down into this position, and again we're oversold. However, when we compare the low here to the low here, again you've got a nice divergence, a very nice divergence here. Higher low on the indicator, lower low on the spruce. This is going to work. And again, you're oversold on the INDU. You're almost getting oversold here on the INX, but you are oversold on the YM as well. Just turning into an oversold condition right there. But we're going to take the trade when the slope of the fastest indicator, the 5-second, is turning. So it's going to be right in here, right at the bottom there. That's where we're going to take that trade. It's just beginning to turn. You can see 15.5 takes her all the way up to 17 thereabouts. Excellent scalp. Beautiful opportunity. Now let's look for some other instances. What about right here? Well, in this case, the answer would be no. We wouldn't take that, even though we're slightly oversold here, because we haven't gotten into an oversold condition on any of the other indicators. Nothing's happening yet. So we've got to wait until that gets red or blue, and that's happening right in here. And at that moment, we can see that we're in an oversold condition, even on the INDU, as well as the YM down at the bottom, and right here, we're turning. That doesn't make much, okay? Granted, it does not make much. But you pull out a point. Getting it at 13, it can ride it up to 14. It'll work. This is a scalp. We're not looking to make a lot off of this. And you can tell that this is beginning to, you can tell when to get out when the slope of the very fastest indicator begins to turn. And there you have it. Now we have another situation right in here. Pardon me, right in there. We have a divergence again. A higher low on the indicator, lower low on the spruce, as well as the fact that we are oversold on really most of these other indicators. We're not quite into the red there, but we've got a higher low. This is beginning to trend up. So off of this, from 1250 to 1350, again, another point. That's all we're looking for. All we're looking for. Now, although this turns out to be the low of the day, right in here, we still wouldn't know that at that particular moment. But you can see a significant divergence that was developing. We're in an oversold condition here, but look at where the segment indicator is. It's a higher low. It's a divergence. And so that divergence, again, becomes the trading opportunity, and we find ourselves making that trade again right as the slope of the fastest indicator here at the bottom is beginning to turn. And that trade pulls off a wonderful profit. Now let's go the other way, because we're trading in both directions. We have an overbought condition here, but we really don't have much confirmation on this. So we're going to wait. But once we get here, again, we're overbought. We're in the purple, and then we get overbought in here. And we're overbought on the IND. And the slope is turning on the indicator below. Wonderful opportunity to pull off a really successful short trade. Again, you have another situation there where you're overbought here. It's confirmed on all of your other indicators, and the slope is beginning to turn. Now, this doesn't last very long, but it's a nice trade and very little downside. You could get a fill at 16 on this and ride her down to below 15. Now we look for another overbought condition. It's overbought right here. It's not overbought here, but it is on the IND. And our slope at the bottom is changing. We can take that trade. We don't have another situation in this period here. However, if we look at this period right in here on the IND momentarily gets overbought right in here, briefly turns white. That's the minimal color for a change. And we're at a higher high, and we have a sort of a contrarian divergence here, where we've got a higher high on the indicator but a lower high on the SPOOs. Of course, this is plotting the IND. And the slope is already changing on your fastest indicator here. So this is tradable. Then back down here, you get into an overbought condition again. We got almost all of our indicators have turned, and we're already on a very positive slope back up from the fastest of our indicators. So it's a very simple methodology. Works very, very, very well. So once again, just to review, and I'm going to expand out our chart here, and we're just going to look at, we'll just look at that high right in here. Okay. There we are. So in this particular instance, right in here, we're overbought. We haven't hit, we're not overbought yet on the graph below. We don't get overbought until that just begins to turn white. We prefer that this gets to be either blue or red, but it doesn't always happen. But you can see a divergence here on the indicator. We've got a lower high. That's usually the indication where the trade needs to be executed. But overall, the methodology that we use, we don't pay any attention to the trend here. We're going to trade in both directions. And we're trading based upon a 5-second chart with 6 different indicators on 6 separate settings, 4 of which are on different, 3 of which are on different market symbols, the IND, the INX, and the YM. So with that information in mind, we have a lot of confirmation going on, enabling us to identify these opportunities and just cherry pick the trades. It works very, very well. That's our scalper, and this is Rod Kusin and Spoonhand for Risk.